Okay, so in this video, let's make a mail merge to Google Docs using Google Sheets data. I have a folder here in my Google Drive. In this folder, there is this spreadsheet. Let me just open this to show you what's in here. So basically, it's some spreadsheet with some people listed in here with their names, their phone numbers, etc. We want to be able to use this data in our mail merge to create a document for each line in the spreadsheet. In order for me to do this, I'm going to go back here. This is my document. I already have it opened. I'm going to create two new files. One is going to be a document that will be a template for the mail merge, and the second one is going to be where the mail merge is actually going to happen. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click here, Google Docs, blank document. I'm going to call this merge template. That's going to be this. I'm going to make one more document here. This one we'll call final. This is where we're going to get the results. So let's first of all go ahead and create the example for our mail merge. So I'm going to go to my template and say great, so now we have this document. We want to use this as a template to basically create mail merge. And what it's gonna be looking like, it's basically we'll have this final document, and each page on this document should be using this example to create the document. But what we need to do, we need to replace this John Doe with the actual name here. And the telephone number should be replaced with this telephone number on the right. So for that, I'm going to go here and replace this with some brackets. I'm going to say first, and this will be last. So I'm going to use this curly brackets. You could really use anything. Pretty much you want to use something, some character that you would never use in the actual template itself. So this will work fine for me. And I'm going to change the phone number right here. And this will be phone. Excellent. So this is my template. I have that. Now we're going to do the actual merge. We could use a separate script file. We could create a script file from really anywhere in here. And you could also use a script file from your spreadsheet. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do this from the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go here, tools, script editor. Let me zoom in just a little bit and let's get started. There are a few things we need to do. Number one thing we need to do, we need to save this project. So Command S or Control S, give this a name. I'll call this mail merge stuff. Again, doesn't matter what you call it. We need to save all the IDs for all these documents we're going to use to a variable. So I'm going to say var doc template ID equals to. I'm going to create three variables here. Doc final ID, and finally this will be worksheet ID. Actually, I'm just going to do WSID for worksheet. That's fine. So the worksheet is this one. So I'm going to use this ID right here. See right there. So that's going to be the worksheet. So the ID is what's between this D slash, and there's the ID until the next slash. So I'm going to copy that, go here and paste that. That's the worksheet ID for this. I also need IDs for this merge template. So the ID for this, again here, after this D slash, keeps going until the next slash. Copy that. This is my template. I'm going to go here. That's the ID for this. And finally, we need the final one, which is this one. So I'm going to copy that to our script as well. So here we go. So before I even get to using any information from the actual spreadsheet itself, I want to just get to these documents and be able to modify them. So let's start with something simple. Let's do one example. Try to just modify this and create one person's information and put this on this document. So for that, I'm gonna go here. We need to first read the template document, which is this ID. So to be able to do that, we need to do our document app. And here we're going to open by ID. And the ID for the template is this. So I'm gonna copy and paste that variable there. That's gonna open that document. So I'm gonna say var doc template equals to this. So that will basically just open that document. We also need to do this with the other one. So I'm gonna also open this one, the final document, and save it in a variable, just like that. So now we have these. We need to read what's in this document. So I'm gonna take this document template and do dot get the body of that document, and body is basically all the content in that document. And then in this body, I'm gonna get all the paragraphs, and that will basically be an array of paragraphs. So I'm gonna save this in a variable. I'll say var template paragraphs equals to this. We can loop through that array of paragraphs. As I'm looping through them, I'm thinking I could make some changes, and then I could take that and put it back to this other spreadsheet. So let's just try to read every paragraph and just put this in this spreadsheet without really making any changes. So I'm just trying to put this in the final document just like that. So to do that, I'm gonna take that variable right here. This is going to be the array of our paragraphs, and because it's an array, we can run a for each loop on this, and that will accept a callback function. Oops, let's fix that. Here we go. This callback function will accept a parameter, and each parameter will be a new paragraph. I'll just call it short P, and it's gonna basically loop through paragraphs, and each one of these is going to be a paragraph. So when I get the paragraph, I'm just going to take that paragraph and put it in the other document. So this one, and apparently I already, let me spell that correctly. Final ID, final ID, final ID. It makes no difference, but let's just spell it right. So I have to go to this document that I've opened. And in this document, I'm gonna get the body of that document. And in that body, we're going to append a paragraph. So every time we'll append a paragraph, and that will accept a paragraph, which will be that P, which is the paragraph. Let me zoom out just a little bit, so hopefully you can see the whole thing. I'm gonna save this. I'm going to try to run this. Let's see what happens. Now, when we run this, it's going to ask for permissions to modify those spreadsheets, which will give access to. So review permissions, that advanced, this allow, all the regular permission stuff. So element must be detached. So as I was trying to basically write the line, this is the paragraph, and I'm trying to put that paragraph in the other document. But because that paragraph is already in the other paragraph, it's not letting me do this because that paragraph is the paragraph on the other document. So this detached thing, that's what we're getting. So what we need to do, we need to make a copy of that paragraph and then put it in the other document instead of just trying to put that paragraph in the other document. So for that, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to use this copy method on this and save this and try to run this again. So I'll run this and see, now it went through, no problem. We made a copy of that. Let's go check what happened. This is our final file, and this is our template file. So basically I was able to just grab the contents of this file and copy them over here. So now the next step I want to do, instead of just copying and putting the contents in this file, I want to make some changes before I put it in this file. What I need to change this first, last names, and the phone number with my desired information. So I'll go back here, and here, after I make a copy, I'm gonna do this period. And see, I can't really access all the methods here because this editor doesn't let you do this. But to be able to figure out what elements are available in the paragraph, because this is going to be a paragraph, what I could do, I could just do a little trick like this. I could take this, that's going to return an array, and if I get the first element of that array, that will be a paragraph. So now if I do a dot, that should show me what methods are available, and one of those is that copy thing, which I already used. Now what I want to do after I copy this, actually let me just do that copy dot, I want to change the text. So if I go here, see there is this option, replace text, and basically I need to search for text and replace with some other text, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use this method, but I'm going to use it right here on each one of those paragraphs instead of doing this. So that I was just doing to get the autocomplete to see what methods we have available, and just to show you how you get those when you need them. So what I'm going to be searching for here, I'll be searching for, well, a few different things. One thing I have to do, I have to search for this first thing there, and I'm going to replace it with whatever I want. So I'm just going to type some name here, so John. So that should hopefully replace that name with John. Let's save this and run this just to see what happens. I'm going to run this. Go back and take a look in my final file. It kept the first one, and now it tagged on another one, but you can see that for the second one, see, we have John as the person here. So we were able to replace the first name. Now let's also replace the last name. And we should be able to chain these. So I should be able to just do another one of these. And now I'm going to do last. And this will be the last name here. So I'm just going to send this things to a new line because it's hard to read. So maybe I'll send a copy to a new line. With JavaScript, we can do this. It's going to read it the same way. It doesn't matter if I put it on the same line or if I do this. It's really the same. Let me run this. Let's see what happens. Let's go back, check it out. See, for this new one, we get John Doe. We now have to replace the phone number as well. So I'm going to do that too, which basically just means we need to run another replace line. And that will be phone, and we should replace it with whatever phone number we want to use here. Save this, run this. Let me actually this time just clean this up and then go back, save this, and run the script. Let's go take a look. So we were able to use this template right here to get the information, replace our bracket stuff, and just put it back to a new document, which is this file. So that's good. What I want to do now, because I was able to do this for this one example, I want to transfer this entire thing to a function so we can just repeat this as necessary using a function. Let's see how we can accomplish that. So all of this stuff that I'm doing, I want to be able to just read, replace, and put it in a document. I want to do it using a function. Zoom out a little bit, create a new function. I'm going to call this function create mail merge. In this function, I want to do this. So if I copy and paste it right here, here we need to be able to access some of these things. So one of the things is this final document is not going to be really available here because this is a different function and we don't really have that doc final over here to even access it. So we need to send that as a parameter. So we're going to do this here. That's one of the parameters we're going to send to this function, the final document. We need to also send this array of paragraphs, which is basically the template paragraphs. So I guess that will be before that. It doesn't really matter. We just have to decide the order. So I think that should be enough for now. I'm going to add some things to this in just a little bit. For now, let's just make sure that this works. So I should be able to just now replace this entire thing with my function. And I'm going to try to run this and see if it works. So I'm going to run this. Again, I'm still going to run this first one, which is my function. Let's go check out. Great. We have another one. So that works. So it creates another one. If I run this again, it should create another one. Yet again. Good. So the function works. With this function, however, we also need to change a couple of things. We need to make sure that we can actually change what the name, the last name, and the phone number is supposed to be. So there are nice ways to go about this and not so nice ways to go about this, I guess. For this, I'm going to keep it simple and just pass those parameters like the name, last name, and the phone number. So I'll go here and do first, last, and phone. So those would be the parameters I want to pass like this. And those same parameters we have to do here because this function needs to accept those parameters right here. So then we'll just use the first name here, the last name here, and the phone number here. Save this. So now when we want to pass a first name, we'll just say whatever first name we want to do. So we'll do like Linda, and the last name, whatever last name we need to do. So Smith, and whatever phone number this is supposed to be. So we'll do some phone number. So now if I run this, I go back, we should have Linda Smith and her phone number in our mail merge. Good. So the function operates. It does what it's supposed to do. It basically just replaces whatever it needs to replace. Now at this point, I want to start passing this Linda Smith and whatever this information is from my spreadsheet instead of passing it from this hard-coded values, which means we need to also open our spreadsheet. So I'll open it here on top. I'll do var ss for spreadsheet, and we'll do our spreadsheet app, and we'll do get. Actually, I always keep doing this, but it's open by ID. The ID is going to be this worksheet ID, which is that spreadsheet. We're going to open that spreadsheet. In this spreadsheet, we need to read the information in that spreadsheet to an array. So we're going to read this entire content starting from the second row all the way down to an array. So to do that, we'll do ss.get range a1. Actually, let's not do it this way. Let's just do the range. So we'll start from the second row, the first column. So that's the second row, first column. This is where we start. And we need to end over here, wherever this is. So now we need to do the number of rows. So to do the number of rows, we need to do... Actually, this is the spreadsheet. We need to get the worksheet. So let's just first make sure we get the sheet by name, the name of our sheet. Let me just rename this. I'm going to call it data. Let's call this data. So this way we'll have the worksheet, not the spreadsheet. So I'm going to rename it WS. So in the worksheet, we'll get a range 2, 1. That's where we're going to start. Then in that worksheet, we'll get the last row. And we'll do -1. And the reason I'm doing last row -1 is because the last row is going to get us 18. But we don't need to provide it the last row. We need to provide the number of rows in the range. And the number of rows in the range is from here through here, which is 17 rows because the first row is a label. So that's why I'm doing 18 -1 to get to that 17 rows. So the last row -1, comma, and then the number of columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 columns in there. And to get this to an array, we'll just say get values. That should read that entire thing to a JavaScript array. We'll say var data equals to this. That's going to be our array. So now that we have our array, we should be able to loop through our array. So I'm going to go here after we do this, and I'm going to do data dot. And to loop through our array, we'll do our for each loop. And that will accept a function that will also accept a callback. So we'll call this R for row, this variable for each row. So it's going to loop through that array, and every time it's going to get us a whole row. So the first one, the second one, the third one, etc. So in that row, the first one in the row is going to be the first name. The second one is the last name. So each time we want to create a new thing in our document, so we just have to do that function that we just built a little while ago. But instead of typing Linda here, which is the hard-coded name, I'm going to do R0, and 0 because in JavaScript the position 1 is 0, so that should give us the first name. In a similar way, if I want the last name, I'm going to do the second element, which is 1. And the phone number, we'll have to figure out which element that is. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. I'm going to save this. I'm going to try to run this. Now what's going to happen is going to ask us for permission to access the spreadsheet most likely. So I'm going to run this. Let's give this the permissions it needs. So the usual stuff here, allow. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to go to my final file, and we should see now that we have new people. See, Monica, Donna, Crystal, Ronnie, etc. So basically we made all of them in this. Now one thing that's annoying is that it's adding all this stuff over and over. So what I want to do first, I want to make sure that when I run the script, it cleans whatever's in this final file and then puts the values in instead of just adding it to it. So before we actually put anything in that file, let's just go to that doc final. We're going to get the body of this thing, and we'll do clear. So if I run this, I shouldn't have all that like John Doe and all that stuff on top. So let's try this. I'm going to save, run. And see, now we start with Monica. So we have Monica, Donna, Crystal. So we should have all their information now. Monica, Donna, Crystal, etc. The next thing I want to do, I want to make sure that after I put this first person in there, I want to just send it to a whole new line instead of doing this. So here, not only a new line, this should be sending here to a new page. I'm going to go back here, and to do this, after we create this merge, see, that's going to basically go through all of these things and append all these paragraphs. We want to make sure that after we do that, we add a page break. So I'm going to do that in this function. So that will be in that final document. So I'm going to go here. After we do all of this, I'm gonna go here and do append. There it is, page break. Save this. Let's go back and run. I need to run this first one on top. Run this one again. Let's go take a look. We have this. We have the second person. We have the third person. Now we have our mail merge with everybody on a new page. Still using this template right here. So if we want to change this, something, and maybe this should be bold or whatever. If I run this, it should use that template. So I go back and run this. Let's go check what happened. Seems to work just fine. There's one thing that's gonna create a problem is when we start adding like bullet point lists and stuff like that. So let me show you what's gonna happen when we do that. So I'm gonna say item 1, item 2, item 3. Let's go back and run this to see what happens. Let's go back and take a look. Didn't update yet. Now it updated. See what happens? It's not reading the list items right, because what we did here, when we read it to a paragraph right here to get the paragraphs, well, some of those are paragraphs and some of them are not paragraphs. Some of them are list items. But we're trying to work with it as a paragraph here, and that creates this problem because when it's not a paragraph, it doesn't know what to do with it, and it just tags this list item here in this list. So to fix this issue, we need to check here in our code if that is actually, this P is actually a paragraph or not. Now the P, see, it's not going to give me the item list. Let me just get the list so we can see what's available in there. So I'm going to just do this for a second and get the first item. So let's get the autocomplete. So here there is this thing called, let's see, get type. So if we run this get type, it should tell us what type of element we're working with. So let's remove this. Let me show you what's going to happen here. I'm going to do p.getType right there. Let's just log this out. See what happens. Okay, so when I get this paragraph, I'm first going to get the type here to see what the type is. So for right now, we're just logging it out to see what it is. So I'm going to run this. Let's take a look. It says paragraph, 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 and then it's a list item. So what I'm trying to show you is that sometimes you need to add handling. If not everything is a paragraph, you will have to add handling to whatever doesn't work. So in this case, list item doesn't work. So first let's check if that's a paragraph. So I'm going to copy that. So here, instead of doing this log, this get type is going to give us the type of the element. So I'm going to say var l type equals that get type. So then I'll just do an if statement. I say if l type equals to paragraph, then we'll want to do what we did in here. So let's just do this. Let me try to indent this a little bit. Good. So if it's a paragraph, we want to do this. We want to take that and append a paragraph. Now, if it's not a paragraph, let's say it's a list item. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just add an else if condition. I'm going to do else if, and I'm going to check if that is a list item. And do we still have that? Yep. Copy that from here. So if the element type is a list item, then what we're going to do, we're going to do a little something different. I'm going to copy that, paste it here. And instead of doing append paragraph, we're going to do append list item. The rest should be fine. It should just work. Save, test this and see if it works now for both. Run that. Go back, take a look. See, now we have our item 1, item 2, item 3. However, we don't have the bullet point. So to fix the bullet point problem, we need to add the bullet points to our items. So I'm going to go back here. And after we did this list item thing, I'm going to do this. And for this list item, we do the set. What was it called? Oh, there it is. This one. To choose the type, we have to do a round bullet point. So that's going to come from our document app. See, there are these types here, dot. Now there are different types we can choose. I'm going to do a regular bullet, which should match the type from the other one. I'm going to save. Go back here. Let's run this. Now we have our bullet points for our items, item 1, 2, 3. Let's also make sure that if we have text here, it will change. So I'm going to go here and in my template, I'll just do something like phone. Now this should be replaced with a phone number 2. Let's go back and rerun our script. Go back and take a look. Now we have Monica, Donna, etc., etc. So that should be a little bit of overview how you would go about creating mail merge using Google Sheets and Google Docs and app scripts. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.